Okay. Call this meeting to order. Consider approval of the minutes for the June 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and take any necessary action. Hold a public hearing to consider the request.
So I will move that we accept the minutes as presented. I've read them and they appear to be correct.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Okay, move to item number 3. Hold a public hearing to consider the request of Kyle Adams, applicant representing Travel Plaza FM 1001 LLC owner for a zoning change from future development to commercial district on 7.94 acre tract of land in the Lewis H. Bradley Survey, abstract number 21, Titus County, Texas. Same being that of the tract 1 conveyed to Travel Plaza FM 1001 LLC, Texas Limited Liability Company by deed recorded in document number 219-11-595. Official public record, Titus County, Texas, and generally located on the south side of I-30 east of FM 1001, and take any action necessary.
Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is going to be a public hearing. It's about a rezoning case. We've got a location map showing up there. It's in your packet also. And as you said, this is out on the FM 1001, and it sits on the south side of the service road of I-30 near that intersection. Not long ago, there was an annexation case that brought this piece of property into the city. It is a Travel Plaza center being constructed. It's near completion, and they were not zoned when they were brought into the city. Something that the city probably needed to look at the time. But generally, what happens in annexations, you usually annex the property in and then make a decision whether what the use is. If it's a use that's already existing out there, which this was, it doesn't necessarily have to be zoned at that time. It becomes whatever use it is, and it gets established as a conforming use if it's conforming or non-conforming use. But in this case, it's a commercial business, obviously. It's a convenience store, basically a fueling station. They've got a restaurant in it, and then they accommodate some other amenities with inside the store itself. And it's a pretty large facility. And for the folks traveling down I-30, and obviously there will be trucks that stop there to refuel and whatnot. The main reason they're asking for zoning at this point is that in order for them to attain a beer and wine license, retail license to sell, they have to be within the city. And to just further explain the reasoning on this, back in 2015, the state legislature passed a bill. I think we reference it in here. It was a bill that allowed for the cities, under certain conditions, when pieces of property were annexed in, they could extend what they call their local option election. The local option election, which was the city of Mount Pleasant, I believe, for retail beer and wine sales, occurred in 2016, and that would allow retail stores to sell it for off-premise consumption. And the state of Texas, or legislature at this time, there was I did a little research. There's a specific reason they did it at the time, because they had a certain community that actually was bringing in a Costco that was right outside the city limits, that the condition was they had to be able to sell beer and wine in that store to get that retail operation in there. So I think the legislature looked at that, and under certain conditions, and I put those conditions in your staff report, even though that's not something you're really dealing with tonight. You're just dealing with the rezoning case. But to give you the detail of why, it's that they have to be annexed, and they can't be over the request can't be over 1% of the total area in the municipality, which they're not. They're a minuscule amount of property in comparison to the total amount of the city. And then the area, here's where we come in. Number 2, it says all of the land in the annexed area is zoned for commercial use only. So they have to acquire this commercial zoning to be qualified with the TABC to allow them to have a retail license for beer and wine. So, and the other circumstances about adjacency to residential, church, or school property, there's no school property there. There's no church property. There are ag properties out there that essentially may have a residential use, but they're allowed other uses on there. So we haven't found anything that would disqualify them because it's not specifically in the city. It's not zoned specifically for residential. So those areas could be anything essentially right now in the county besides what they are. So I haven't found anything that would disqualify them, and I've kind of researched that with other cities and talked to some land use attorneys, and nothing at this point disqualifies them from coming in with that. So even though that's not a decision of the P&Zs, I wanted to bring that to your attention to make you understand why it's being zoned for commercial. So with that being said, we did send out notices of this surrounding area, which wasn't very much because we don't send notices outside the city. So we essentially only got probably Big Tex, and maybe that's about it, you know. And Big Tex was actually annexed just this year too, last year. So we didn't really get much response. If any, did we get any response back at all? I don't think we got any response back on this one at all. And again, basically the surrounding land use is Big Tex and Interstate Highway and across the street. And it's pretty much industrial or commercial type of land use that's out there currently. Really all what we need to do tonight is just conduct a public hearing, open the public hearing, take any comment that we can, and I'll be glad to answer any questions of staff. But strictly, we're trying to get the property zoned so they can go ahead and apply for their alcohol beverage license.
Okay, we want to open a public hearing for any comments.
Are they already annexed into the city?
Okay, if there's no comments or anything, we'll close the public hearing and move on to any discussion or questions. Have any questions? Any more questions? Okay. Do I hear a motion to?
I would make a motion that we accepted it into the commercial district.
Second motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's passed. Okay, go to item number 4. Discuss and consider the approval of a final plat of Lot 1, Block A, Royal Ranches Addition, being all that certain tract of land situated in the city of Mount Pleasant, Titus County, Texas, part of the John Thompson Survey, abstract number 567, being the 12.302 acre tract conveyed by C&M Family Limited Partnership by deed recorded in Titus County Document 2/20/26/125, being generally located on the east side of US 271, approximately 1,500 feet north of FM 127, Monticello Road, and take any action necessary.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this is the final plat of Royal Ranch Addition. Like you said, it's a 12.38 tract. This property is currently now the home of the Texas Criminal Justice Center. It's an office basically built for them by basically contractor developer that builds these buildings throughout the state. And I think they're actually locating in different districts. They're locating these facilities to accommodate primarily probation offices for them probably some other things, but they started locating these in different areas of East Texas and other parts of the state. And they've come to Mount Pleasant and have got their building built. We're just filing out some things with their final plat. Final plat meets all the conditions that we had in the preliminary plat. The only outstanding thing that we were, the city's trying to do, city's under construction of a sewer line that's going to be run out there for them, not specifically for them, but for the loop itself and loop it out there. However, we are not able they were not able to get under construction, obviously, to catch up with them. So they are going to go ahead and, I think, establish the septic system so they can open. And we're a bit behind schedule due to the pandemic and due to other things. But we are, I think that they have taken delivery of pipe, so we're probably be under construction to get it out there. But in that, just to let you know, when we discussed this at the preliminary stage, we talked to them about signing what was called a facilities improvements agreement, and we'll be doing that in the future for anybody that is going to come in and plat their property but eventually can't get the sewer. We'll require them to sign this. It says within 150 feet or so of your property, then you'll be required to tie into the sewer. I think with the amount of sewer improvements the city's making, we want to get everybody that's coming in tied into the sewer at some point to get that revenue for what we're doing currently. So that agreement has been signed by the applicant. It's not necessarily something you see, but it goes to council along with the plat, and they'll take a look at it, and the city manager will sign off on that, and we'll get that in place. But with that being said, I'll be glad to take any questions of this. This is just basically an administrative thing for you all to do. It meets all the requirements of final platting, and it meets all the requirements that were approved on the preliminary plat. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Anybody got any questions?
The only question I have, it's not directly about the zoning, but which direction is the sewer lines coming from behind or from Pilgrims? So like from Monticello Road, yeah.
Once they get it established, if there's any development on the west side of the loop, they'll be able to they'll have to go under, but they'll be able to get it over there to them. So that'll be an incentive to get more development, especially on that side of the loop out there now with sewer.
Back up to 30.
Well, and the key, just to let you know, that there is some plans, master plan right now, that's going to bring sewer up from the north side up across 30, that area. I'll say Tanker's Lake, that area up there, where it is now. It'll be coming south back in to tie into this, and the plan is to actually take some lift stations out of Commission. So we'll get gravity flow all the way back down here. So it's sort of one of the little phases of it that's going to happen next year.
Okay, any more questions? All right, do I hear a motion to approve the final plat of Lot 1, Block A, Royal Ranches Edition?
Make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All passed. Go to number 5, discuss and consider the approval of the Acuna de Loya subdivision, Phase 1, being a replat of tract of land located in the Berry Merchant Survey, abstract number 358, Titus County, Texas, in block number 153 of the city of Mount Pleasant, and being part of the called 3-acre tract conveyed to Alfred Verrill in deed of known as instrument number 217-3317 of the public records of Titus County, located on the west side of Lawn Avenue, north of East 9th Street, and take any action necessary.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this applicant is bringing forward a tract of land he's acquired from the adjoining church that's there. They've sold this piece of property to him, and he's wanting to develop it with single-family homes. As you can see in that plat, I think you have a copy of the plat up there also. The initial development, he wants to go ahead and just utilize what's out on the street. So he's going to put in 4 lots can we get that? I kind of got to turn sideways there, but the 4 lots are going to face out the lawn, and there's going to be a 50-foot gap in it. That 50-foot gap is essentially either going to be one of 2 things. It's either going to be the access to one large lot that's in the rear, or I think it's going to be a street, and he's going to try to develop the back part. He's told us that we do that. It's basically what he's doing now is to develop these first 4 lots, see the market for that. It works out well for him. Then they'll go ahead and develop the rest of the property and put that with the street that'll go back there. Now, what that's going to look like, we're not absolutely sure of. It may not be square. We may end up having to do a cul-de-sac at the end of it and maybe build around that cul-de-sac inside of what's left in the property. But I think there's adequate property to do it. There will be, if he does elect to do that, there will be some additional fires, hydrants need to be put in there. We do have some hydrants that are out on the lawn that are going to work for this property, and there's water and sewer available to it out front, so we don't have any issues with that, and the street's in. So basically, we're just doing a final plat on this currently. We discussed that. We don't see a big issue with this first phase, but again, the next phase would cause him to have to build a street and develop some more infrastructure in the back of it. With that being said, I'll take any questions that you may have. And again, just to let you know also, when they come in, one of the things that we're requiring them to do now is they're going to have an approved grading plan. When they come, even after they plat the lots, we'll get an approved grading plan. And we're starting to have a little bit more design issues with how they build driveways. And I think you're aware of this, the city is enforcing the fact that they have to have garages or indoor carports. So we're able to get that into these newer constructions in this older area of town, which I think is starting to make a difference over there, so to some degree. So with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. I hear a motion to consider the approval of the Acuna de la Joya subdivision, phase 1.
I will make that motion to approve the Acuna de la Joya subdivision.
Second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's passed. Now we go to number 6, the planning director's report.
Well, in the code, I'm supposed to be doing this when we meet once in a while, I guess, at least. Also letting you know what we've done administratively on plats. I put a little sheet up there that shows them. Mainly they're these old parts of town. Number 1 was the city of Mount Pleasant, block 312C. I didn't make maps for you to show you, but this was just basically over on North Gibson Street. Somebody just dividing which we're getting a lot of, a larger tract, want to make 2 individual tracts out of residential development. So that's what's happening. Number 2 is out on I-30 at the service road at Edwards. If you've noticed, there's a retail building that was been built there that's not complete yet, but that was another situation where there was it was 2 lots, and we asked them to go ahead and put that into one development tract. And so that's how that occurred. Number 3 is on West 16th Street. If you go out that street, they're building some apartments that are by the park, Heritage Park. I don't know if you can see behind over there, but they've actually started. As a matter of fact, they're not far from completion of a new set of apartments that are sitting back there. The builder is Corey Price, and that we were warning him that there were several tracts or more than one tract of land there. Legally, it probably looked like it was just 2 tracts, but there were some issues there of combining all those because it's all under his ownership. So we asked him to replat that to make it under one ownership, and we've got really a better situation there is how we have a single development tract, which is for those apartments. And it's a good thing because we're able to, with that, designate fire lanes and get some hydrants in there and kind of improve what's out there at this point. Number 5 is just another situation where somebody owned 3 lots. It's over in Gaddis Place, if you're familiar with that old subdivision. They own 3 lots, and they were wanting to, I think, add some addition or build more onto their home, and just wanted to combine those 3 lots together that would allow them to do some more construction over there. That's all that is. And finally, we had a homeowner or bought a property up on the north side of town off County Road 1605 that it needed to, it was sold to him, but he didn't initially have, it didn't look as though he had access to the road necessarily. He did have access, but it was a piece of property that had been subdivided with just a deed, and they had done it a couple of times. So we tried to clean up that situation where he'd have a platted lot that had direct access, because at the time he came in, he didn't know for sure that he had direct access, that it wasn't an easement. It turns out it wasn't an easement. He actually owned the property. So we said, you need to clean this up now. And he didn't have a problem doing that. So we were able to get that replatted for it. Yeah, it connects there. Yeah, that's it. So those are the administrative plats we've done basically since the first of the year, and we've been probably more than I would say more than probably normal. It seems like we've got a lot of infill, and we seem to be getting quite a bit of that every week. If somebody's wanting to take these old lots and they want to get them combined, or they want to enlarge them or split them, mainly split them. If they get a big lot and they can meet the zoning requirements, they're trying to split and build new homes. So that's a good sign. The last thing I wanted to tell you about in this report is that we're fixing to start into this comprehensive planning process, and we will be trying to put a committee together. And if you have suggestions yourselves, maybe, but we're probably going to limit it to a smaller group of people. Committees get too big; they get cumbersome and hard to deal with. But we might want somebody from the P&Z to be on that committee if you're willing to do it. Probably, basically, it's not going to be a lot of meetings. I would suspect at the most it might be 4 meetings within a 9 months period of time, 9 to 10 months, and hopefully very productive. We'll get things done. The meeting won't be called unless we're getting something done. So it's sort of the comprehensive planning process that the city's initiated. They've hired a consultant. The consultant comes through. They're going to do several steps. First step is probably going to be put a committee together. Second step is we're going to do a citywide survey. It's trying to figure out what direction, from a design standpoint, a land use standpoint. There's a lot of things that are going on now with probably haven't really looked at subdivision design here in years and years, about 20 years to be exact, because the old comprehensive plan hadn't been updated in 20 years. And so, and technically by basically state law, if you have a zoning code, you're supposed to look at your future land use plan about every 5 years. And we haven't really looked at it in 20 years. So now it's basically the time. There's some outlying areas in the city. There's some areas on the north side. We're expanding our sewer and water capability in the next 5 years. So it's time to get a handle on how we want to see subdivisions develop. What that's going to mean is there going to be recommendations about what are you going to do with your subdivision code, and also what you might want to look at in terms of rewriting the zoning code and get more specific about how land use is handled, how certain things, certain uses are mixed together. Maybe it's better to get a little bit more standalone districts that we're not putting so many things in together. I notice in this city there's a lot of things that end up in general retail that you may not really want to mix together in general retail. There's places where, for instance, apartment complexes can be built in all the commercials, most of the commercial zoning districts, not just the standalone district, but you can put a apartment complex in a general retail and you can put it in the commercial district. So those are the kind of ideas that you want to kind of figure out, is that the best place, or that's what you want to transition with? So those are the things we're kind of look at. Another thing is, so now the city's growing at a point where these neighborhoods are getting older, but they're starting to come back. And we thought about maybe there should be, look at different neighborhoods for character of those neighborhoods and see if we can develop some plans that identify these different parts of Mount Pleasant and as a, you know, a district or a neighborhood area that we actually show on a comprehensive plan and try to identify what those should, and give it character. Basically, you're looking for a character of different parts of town and try to create that character, and what things can, you know, you can do in that plan to create that character. That was one of the things I asked the consultants to kind of look at, how we delineate those things. The downtown is another area that you look at in that plan and kind of get some ideas of what are other things we can do with the downtown to create more activity. So it's an overall plan of the city. It'll deal with industrial, it'll deal with infrastructure, but it's a good thing that it's at the right moment, because I think the city's at the turning point with development, and it should start to see maybe not crazy growth, but it will see continued growth and maybe a higher rate as things push out. As you've seen this year, how things have pushed out this direction, you just have to anticipate you're going to get more growth with that. So I just wanted to inform you that. Again, I'm going to put out that something this week. If you think about it, you guys think about it. If you're interested, may ask the question. So I'll get your input. And what really too, I wanted to know, if you, since you're out there in the community, are there other people that you know, business owners, business leaders, you know, anybody, administrators, people that you think that might be a good fit for this committee that would really contribute to the process? So just ask them the question. Well, it's probably, in real terms, I wouldn't think there'd be more than 15. It probably is better to work with about 12 in reality. And of course, with people's schedules, you know, sometimes you'll only get 8. You know how that works. But if we could get, I think a good working number is maybe 12. If the people want to be on it and been enthusiastic, 15's okay. You know, but it can't be. It needs to be big where everybody can really participate in it. And if you get it too big, it just doesn't work. There's too many people trying to talk, and you can't make it work. So, but if you have individuals and you think you could, or yourselves, and you think you got the, like I said, it's not going to be that time consuming. It's just going to be, I'm assuming the meeting would be about 4 meetings for the entire process, I think is what's going to be. There may be more, but they indicated to me that they weren't going to try to overkill on the meetings, you know, because they're out of Dallas or Fort Worth area, and now some of them could be handled as Zoom virtual meetings if we needed to do that, and there may be some of that when you get to the final documents and people are tweaking it and wanting to go through it, rather than them drive all the way out here. We probably can do some of that with just a Zoom virtual meeting, so it'd be pretty easy to do. But anyway, so think about it, let me know.
I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.